Hello, this is your wisest astrologer, and this week we've got a metamorphosis making the rounds. A shift of energy, shenanigans in the heavens, saviors in the sea of hope and good intentions. We start out the week with messages we need to pay attention to complete our transformation. And we finish it with someone or something to save our sexy souls and show us the way in ways that Peter Frampton could only dream of. What you talking about, wise ass? I'll tell you what I'm talking about, Gary Coleman. Venus and Mercury move from Scorpio, where they are right now, into Sagittarius on Wednesday and Thursday respectively. So we have to extract every deep scorpion drop of that beauty on Monday and Tuesday as Jupiter sits at the end of Pisces waiting to catch it. So I'm going to lay out the energy shift, and then I'm going to talk about how that energy shift will transpire. Right now we've got Mars in Gemini still ruling that Mercury, which is now late in the sign of Scorpio. The Mercury in Scorpio is making a 120-degree trine to Jupiter in Pisces, and then that Jupiter in Pisces will be the new ruler of Mercury when Mercury enters the sign of Sagittarius on Thursday. We are going to hear talk about things in the tabloids, or from circles of our lives we consider the TMZ or the Daily Mail, getting select, salacious snippets. But if we find those words enticing enough to let seep into our brain, we'll get the whole story, piece by piece, a little here, a little there, and it will make a deep impression as we put together the pieces of our own personal story. Right now, we accept that we've been connected to beauty in some really dark places, places that not many people have seen, and then we dig deep to find the words, imagery, and melody lines and allow that beauty to spill out onto the page and onto our canvas and out through our instruments. Then, at the end of the week, we accept that what we've been through makes us very worldly, and we're now worldly know-it-alls. And we start subscribing to scholarly publications, the Times, the Journal, the Post, the Chronicle, the Disney Channel, the Wisest Astrology Channel. We accept that our opinion matters and espouse our viewpoints for all the world to hear. Also, at the end of the week, lift your feet when you take long strides with your steps. This will be so important. If you ever wanted to take big steps in life, both literally and figuratively, lift your feet off the ground as you stride forward. This will be so important, and I'll reiterate this next week when Jupiter goes direct. And accept in the coming month that you might not always be perfect with details, but you generally get it, you know? It's connected, it's relevant, so come out and say it. So yes, there's salacious snippets and cutting commentary, and while that will ebb away during the latter half of this week, the sun will remain in Scorpio the whole week, and we've got to make changes to transform ourselves and shine a light on that process as we do. So you're listening to this saying, hey, wise ass, what changes have you made? Oh, I'm making all kinds of changes, baby. I got something called a haircut yesterday, and I rearranged things. Got the hair out of my eyes, so now I can peer deep into your soul and guide you for the week ahead. Now you say, what makes you think that you can do that, wise ass? You sound like you've got a bit of an ego and you're overly confident in yourself. Well, it's my birthday next week, at the beginning of next week, and when the sun returns to the position of our birth, our ego sometimes responds in strange ways, particularly if you have a Sun-Uranus aspect in your birth chart, or even that aspect by transit. But the point of birthdays is to reaffirm your belief in yourself, your belief in life. And for Scorpios, that process can be a bit extreme. Sure, you don't want to be an egotistical jackass, but with Scorpio, it's about pulling yourself up out of the darkness by latching onto any edge you can grasp onto in the night. It shows that you've got heart when it counts most, even if that's something the rest of the world doesn't always see. So Mars in Gemini is all about options, and as it's still driving the Scorpio sun right now, and will be driving the Scorpio sun the whole week, even after the other planets move out of Scorpio, we see that there are so many different types of Scorpio you can be. So when I celebrate my birthday next week, I'll embrace the current Scorpio solar energy and use that nice 120-degree trine from Jupiter in late Pisces to accept that there are many different Scorpios, and that I'm not the Charles Manson Scorpio, just because some dumbass book says all Scorpios manifest as Charles Manson. Now I know you are thinking to yourself, can't the current Mars in Gemini and Sun Scorpio, can't that mean shifty and shady Scorpios? Yes, that is some wise-ass insight. But since my natal Mars is in Sagittarius, I choose to project a more positive scenario onto people and preach about that instead. Alright, so now I'm going to communicate to my audience with language that may not be suitable for children in the workplace, so put your headphones on if needed. Oh, Mercury in Scorpio. Oh, you're so cool in the face of stress. Maybe it's because the panic attack is buried so deep and you could deal with it later. You might think, hey, there's some deep fucking issues, but maybe you're worried about saying there's deep fucking issues out loud, especially because that Mars in Gemini is retrograde. Like, honestly, here's my thought process right now. I'll give you the Mars retrograde in Gemini play-by-play. If I say fuck on YouTube with all these nice new subscribers, are they going to abandon me, leaving me and Mercury and Scorpio in a dark place all by ourselves, alone with our thoughts? Maybe not, but with Jupiter in Pisces making that harmonious trine to Mercury, you can accept that whatever happens, happens. And that, my profane friends, is where the energy is going to switch this week. Because on Thursday morning, at 3:41 a.m. Eastern Time in the US, when Mercury goes into Sagittarius, you'll say, fuck it, who cares? So you gotta say, fuck, deeply, intensely, and half under your breath with Mercury in Scorpio, and disguise it a bit with Mars in Gemini. Maybe you're at work or something and you can't be obvious. You have to be slick about when and where you use profanity. But it is intense and breathy with the Mars and Gemini influence on the lungs. And with Mercury in Scorpio, it's like you're getting it out of your system. And then Jupiter in Pisces accepts things, accepts your intense awareness, and says, what the fuck can you do? You just got to accept how smart you are and move on. And then on to the moving on part. When Jupiter rules the Mercury in Sagittarius, it becomes, fuck it, let's give it a shot, we'll give it a try. So, I don't know what other astrologers you are listening to. I'm sure they are great and all, and not dumbass astrologers whatsoever. I trust your judgment. But with all the information you're hearing about the week ahead, the progression of the week boils down to what I just said. First, fuck. Then, what the fuck can you do? You just got to accept it and move on, whatever it is. And then, fuck it, let's give it a shot, like real optimistic and Sagittarius-like. Because Mercury in Scorpio knows where you really fucked up in life on a deep level, but you got to be cool and deal with that and accept that now. And it is also aware of where others fucked up really deeply, and it has to be cool with that too and accept that now. And then when Mercury goes into Sagittarius, you'll binge watch a bunch of videos and give a lot of thumbs ups. But until then, you can watch my video and comment on where I fucked up on a very deep level. The moon entered Leo at 7:47 a.m. Eastern Time in the US on Monday morning, and it's being ruled by the Scorpio sun. Scorpio entertainment. Promote Scorpio stories, but only promote the bright ones. This is why Scorpio gets a bad reputation, because darkness sells on the big screen. So whenever someone or something is intense in real life, people project some dark cinematic storyline onto them, instead of getting to the bottom of deeper issues, which is a harder thing to do because it takes time and effort. Just because someone is obsessive, it doesn't mean they're a creep with negative and harmful intentions. So this is a good exercise guideline today, with Mars in Gemini ruling the Sun in Scorpio, and the Sun in Scorpio ruling the Moon in Leo. Deep breathing, active hands, and sexually in-tune exercise for the heart. It's listening to that song of Cardi B and doing that cardio exercise. The WAP one, I guess. As long as you are older than 18 and not older than 118, then this exercise is safe for you. And a shout out to my friend who told me who Cardi B was to keep me in the loop with current events, because I would have had no clue otherwise. WAP does not stand for wise ass person, apparently. All I knew was that the Beatles didn't have WAPs. But maybe Yoko did, I don't know. Alright, moving on. The moon in Leo will be in a T-square on Tuesday, opposing Saturn in Aquarius and squaring Uranus in Taurus. But I wouldn't worry too much about it, because we're really tapping into that Scorpio sun, and that will remain cool and in control amidst any stubbornness when it comes to the drama of following rules. Okay, so I don't have your birth time, so I can't tell you what area of life the moon will affect you. But I'll give some examples of how I'm going to use it in my chart based on what area of life it will affect me. Because the moon is in Leo today, I'll make myself the center of attention and use myself as an example to demonstrate. The Leo moon is going to transit the latter part of my 7th house, which represents other people. And then my 8th house, which is other people's money and things one gets for free, which is also the house where my North Node happens to be in. Some people say the 8th house is many other things besides that, but that is an argument for another time. So what this basically means is that today and tomorrow I have to promote the heartfelt feelings of other people and promote other people's businesses in a way that makes them proud. The moon in Leo is being ruled by the sun The sun is in Scorpio, transiting my 11th house, the house of friends and group associations and settings, and is coming up on my natal 11th house, Scorpio sun. And being a Scorpio, any friend and ally I have in life is a huge plus. So I want to give a heartfelt shout out to them today and promote their stuff in a way that is entertaining. I, of course, want to promote my friend Nadia Shah. Some people pronounce her name Nadia Shaw. I don't think she cares too much either way. You all know she's a wonderful astrologer. And from what little I've seen of her as an astrologer, I think she's terrific as well. She's great. She's entertaining. Although I mostly know her as someone who is great and entertaining while shopping at discount clothing stores when traveling. I know her dad thinks she's the best astrologer out there. He thinks she's entertaining and her heart is in the right place. And he should know, because he's a Leo. I think having your heart in the right place is the most important thing as an astrologer, because you're a human guiding the life of another human. My friend Letizia, who's a Leo, an astrologer, and an artist, sent me this artwork that I liked of hers for my birthday last year. I like this because it has astrological significance to me. At least my own personal interpretation of it has astrological significance. Life is a circus, it says, and the sun rules life and the heart on the thoracic spine via it ruling Leo. As you see in the painting, it appears to me at least that the sun is radiating up the upper spine and the heart with a well-lit day sky in the backdrop. And the moon in astrology rules the esophagus, the stomach, and the breast, via it ruling the sign of Cancer. And you see in the painting that what appears to be, and maybe it only appears this way to me, but it appears to be the breast over the backdrop of the night sky. And the word life is written on the sun. So for me, with the natal Sun-Uranus conjunction, life does seem like a circus. And my natal moon is opposite that, the only thing in the bottom half of my chart. So the contrast between night and day, and the oppositions of the sun and the moon via the human body in this, brilliantly articulates my life, even if Letizia might have been trying to convey something else. You can find her on Instagram at Color Room Istanbul. One word, Color Room Istanbul, and no U in color. She also did an astrology thing a while back on Instagram called It's a Moon Thing. I also want to promote my friend Marcia Fervienza. She's an astrologer who has a YouTube channel in Portuguese, and she's a leading scientist. In fact, she was one of the first scientists to adopt my astrological ramblings. And my buddy Rich, not the famous jazz drummer Buddy Rich, for all you jazz aficionados. I'm talking about my actual buddy Rich. So he got me this t-shirt because he says I need to have the eye of the tiger, or lion, I guess. My buddy has his natal Mars in Leo near his ascendant, his first house, and it's overlaying my 7th house. He doesn't know any of this because he knows fuck all about astrology, but it overlays the 7th house in my natal chart. So he says to me, yo, wise ass, you should interact with the commenters. You know, actual other people, instead of just interacting with the Beatles posters on your wall. The Beatles don't need any more exposure. That's what he says. So maybe he is right. With the moon transiting Leo in my 7th house today, I should have the commenters expose themselves. No, no, no. Not like that. There are enough Scorpio scandals in the world. And with the restless Mars in Gemini hands, no. Geez. What I'm saying is that with Mars in Gemini ruling the sun in Scorpio, and the sun in Scorpio ruling the moon in Leo, expose your heartfelt feelings in a way that's shrouded in mystery, like feelings about whatever random thing. We are riding out this Mars in Gemini until bloody late March. This massage table was given to me for free by my friend Jen. My Mars in Sagittarius has my hip flexors being tight, because Sagittarius is all about hip flexion. So I do stretches on this table. Anyway, she has a tapping channel called the Collective Consciousness Healing Community. I don't know exactly what tapping is in this context, but it sounds interesting, and I know that the current Mars in Gemini is all about tapping with the hands. So always look to where Mercury is in your chart when it comes to tapping with your hands. Venus moves into Sagittarius at 1:08 a.m. Eastern Time in the U.S. on Wednesday morning, shortly after the moon finishes its opposition with Saturn in Aquarius. The moon will enter Virgo at 8:03 p.m. Eastern Time on Wednesday night, and Mercury will go into Sagittarius at 3:41 a.m. Eastern Time on Thursday morning, where it will again be conjunct Venus, and it will also be squaring and ruling the Virgo moon. Think of things that are vast and beautiful, but don't let too much information and details stress you out. If you are long-distance running or hiking, bring the right energy snacks, ones that won't weigh you down. The moon in Virgo will be opposite the Pisces, Jupiter, and Neptune on Friday night and Saturday morning. The good times might be flowing, but you must know what you can handle if you go out drinking on Friday night. Don't go overboard. Be kind to your liver. The moon enters Libra at 5:57 a.m. Eastern Time Saturday morning, and the moon in Libra will enter into a flowing grand trine of air with Mars in Gemini and Saturn in Aquarius on Sunday afternoon. It will feel like you're going to know everything when this happens. So be wise, knowledgeable, connected, and beautiful. It will set up how to put Jupiter into action when Jupiter goes direct next week. Oh, and before I forget, another friend of mine, the one who told me about who Cardi B was and her song WAP, because I had no bloody clue who Cardi B was. Well, she got me this poster of John and Yoko. They look like they've been listening to some Cardi B, yeah? So peace, love, stars, and listen to the Beatles. Even listen to Yoko and her WAP. And now you can listen to me at my wet-ass piano.